Hello and welcome to Prep Playbook. I'm Jim Rapier. Joining me on today's show is Mike Strom, and we'll be reviewing some of the games from Week 8 of the football season. How's it going, Mike? Are you ready to review another exciting week of high school football?
Absolutely, Jim. It's been a fantastic season to this point. I have high expectations for these final 2 weeks of the regular season.
Before we look ahead to the rest of the season, let's look back at what happened this past weekend. Mike, district rivals Landry Walker and McDonough 35 squared off in a game that turned into a defensive battle. What did you take of the game, from the game?
Well, the Charging Buccaneers from Landry Walker are proving that in addition to being one of the state's top teams in Class 4A, that they are have one of the top defenses overall in the state. They are blessed with talent from defensive line, linebacker into the secondary. I mean, they have their defensive end, Terrell Gilmore, and their defensive tackle, George Lee, are as good as anybody around, for sure.
Is it a question of just team speed, pursuit of the ball, aggressiveness, the whole combination of all of it?
I think it's the whole package. Certainly they are athletic and have team speed, run well to the ball, but they have some big physical young men who have delivered.
And offensively, they're not hurting at all as well.
Absolutely not. Blessed with two outstanding quarterbacks, several good receivers, and they've overcome the loss, it would appear, of Rummel Walker to a season-ending knee injury, and they have an outstanding running backs, I should say, in Javon Connor and Tevin Bush.
And when they needed to, offensively, as we're seeing on the highlights, they turned it on in the end against McDonough 35.
It's a sign of a good team, I think, no question about it. And I also think McDonough 35 is a formidable test for anybody. They are much better than their record would indicate.
All right, Mike, let's turn our attention to a wild game between Brother Martin and Shaw. The Crusaders needed a second-half rally to get past Shaw and remain undefeated. Brother Martin really showed its mettle in that game, didn't they?
Yes, it did. Certainly an impressive performance by Coach Mark Boney's team. Shaw is, I've always thought since day one of this season, was a dangerous football team and lacking possibly only in depth. And they certainly look for much of the game like Brother Martin might be their first real upset victim. Credit to the Crusaders for turning it on in the second half. Their defense stepped up at times and made some timely big plays. And then offensively, they are a load between their running backs, Jared West and Bruce Jordan Swilling. Their quarterback, who I like a lot, Jake Brogy, and then wide receiver Jeremy Singleton. Coach Boney's has a lot of weapons to distribute the ball around to.
Mike, you were at this game. Could you tell the swing of momentum late in the fourth quarter that Brother Martin was really getting it going?
It was apparent that things were starting to go right for Brother Martin, but I would say this, and I mentioning this earlier. When you have a talent such as Trey Regis, Shaw's outstanding junior tailback, you can't take anything for granted. This was the first time I had the pleasure of seeing Trey play this season, and he is, as Coach Boney said, everything as advertised. He's an outstanding running back, outstanding player, could well be the offensive player of the year in the Catholic League.
That's not a far reach, and there's a lot of talent in that league, and we're going to stay in that league. And our final look at the titanic matchup between Rummel and Jesuit. Defense seemed to dominate in this game, Mike. What did you take from it?
Well, number one, that these teams are a lot closer than even the final score would indicate, which was a field goal, 3 points. I came away duly impressed, more so than in previous times seeing them in Jesuit's defense. I thought that was one thing that kind of jumped out to me, the way the Blue Jays stepped up defensively. Rummel has ridden a stout defense throughout the season, and Saturday night at Joe Yenny was no exception. They had outstanding performances across the board, according to Coach Jay Roth. He just thought the entire defense played well. I know just from my memory covering the game, their linebackers, Michael Mosley, Corey Harris, their two defensive tackles, Tyrell Jacobs, Briston Guidry, and then their junior cornerback, Christian Fulton, and senior safety, Brandon Phillips, all seem to be making plays at various times. I mentioned to fans and friends and acquaintances after the game that even for a 10-7 score, it was just such a wonderful game, exciting game that you had to hang on every play because any play it could prove to be the difference.
Well, they say defense wins championships, and that was certainly the case. Not so much a championship, but it won this ball game.
Sure. And we still got some football to be played there. I mean, we have Brother Martin and Jesuit this Saturday, and then Brother Martin and Rummel the following week. So there's still a lot of football to be determined, championships, I should say.
People better keep their game face on because the next 2 weeks are going to be pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, that's the action from this past weekend that had everyone on the edge of their seat. And thanks for providing us some input.
Thank you, Jim, for having me.
Yeah. And don't forget, you can follow all of Mike's work as well as all of our writers at highschoolsports.NOLA.com. Well, that's all for this edition of Prep Playbook Week 8 Review. Be sure to check out the Week 9 preview edition of Prep Playbook later in the week. For Mike Strom, I'm Jim Rapier. Thanks for clicking on us.